And we're back. Tonight's a long one, so grab yourself a bevy and get ready to see what is effectively 6 whole days of work. 6 days of tasting metal, 6 days of swearing, and 6 days of sweeping up bits of the Vtec that I hadn't planned on cutting out. Oh yes, it's gonna be a good one. Good morning all. I'm not meant to be here right now. I was actually meant to be flying to Berlin. That got cancelled and then was meant to be at the house in Wales. We then got kicked out of Wales, so I'm back here in the budget-built man cave. So what we're doing is trying to get on with the car, obviously. I want the underneath of the car finished before Christmas. The chances of that happening are very slim, but we're going to aim for it all the way. At the moment, we're doing the rear doorstep. What a swine this has been to do, and the whole car has been a swine to do, and I'm just looking at the welding and I'm thinking, have I bitten off more than I can chew? And quite frankly, I think I have, pal. But in the true TCR way, we don't give up, we just crack on, and we hope for the best. So with all that said, I'm going to take a quick sip of my brew, I'm going to run to the loo, and then we're going to weld this piece of poo. So, we begin with a bit of MIG welding, and the only tip I can offer to master this is practice, practice, and more practice. Trust me, I'm no pro just yet. Right, what I'm trying to do here is move along in little bits because I don't want basically the Rolf Harris effect across the panel of the car. So I'm just moving along just to try and keep the heat going through the metal even, and with it having such a profile in it and being quite a stiff panel, there is the chance that it will cause the bigger areas to warp, and I don't want that to happen. Now, I've had to take the car off the jig to get it in this area, so I've had to take the cross piece out and take the trestle out the way that I made, because there was no way I was getting in here with the length of the garage, and yeah, we're limited to space. So that's out. Once this is done, I'm going to clamp the rear valance on the back, make sure it all lines up. Then we've got to repair these corner pieces, which I'm really not looking forward to, because it's an external body panel, and if I don't get it right, you will always see it no matter how much filler work you end up doing to correct it. So, with all that said, kiddos, I think it's best I crack on. And crack on I shall. There's one thing you don't see in these episodes, and it's the pure faff that goes into making them, such as moving the cameras, the outtakes of me stuttering, the scripts for the voiceovers, and the hours of editing after I've gotten changed out of my overalls. Right, so the rear doorstep now, it's all been ground back, the welds are flat, there's still a few bobbles, there's still a few bobbles, and what we're going to do with them is just hide them with a bit of filler, so when we paint it you don't see where it's been welded up. Now we've got to repair this. Now this piece here is the bit that goes across, I'll show you basically, but the bit that goes across the back door and where your pin fires in to lock the back doors, and then the timber sort of lands indented. So you'll hopefully understand where that goes with the cutaway, but there's quite a few bits of rot. So we're going to repair them by cutting out a piece of metal and folding it in the vise, welding it in, and we're going to put that back in the car, and then we move on to the rear valance. This camera is really heavy. So yeah, hopefully that explains a few things, and we'll get on with that now. So I personally think the best way we can sort this now is by doing a bit of cardboard aided design. So I'm going to mark out the bit that's rotten, I'm going to cut it out, make it in cardboard, transfer it into metal, and weld it in. About a minute ago, I mentioned the word faff, and here we are again about to tackle more faff. The time involved in repairing this secondary doorstep was approximately 4 hours, and I've generously trimmed it down to about 30 seconds for you to see. The problem is, the little repairs are the ones that seem to take the most time. However, we must soldier on if we want to see this car finished. So obviously I've repaired all that. Both ends we've sort of welded up, ground back, and then I've sprayed the underneath with weld through primer. So hopefully by the close-ups you can just see obviously where the repair's been done. This will now offer into the boot and we'll weld it down. I would like to use the spot welder to put it back down, but in all honesty I can't be arsed because it means I've got to put the jig back on the car, to spin it upside down, to clean that side of the metal, and it's just a waste of time. I could probably MIG it in faster than the time it'll take me to spin it and sort it all out. So we'll throw that back in, and that's the doorstep replaced.
When you're lost, take your trust. Yeah, that's me. Oh, that's me, that's me, that's me.
Right then, obviously you can see the rear doorstep is in, and then the rear boot floor thing is in as well. I'm absolutely knackered from today, just knackered. It's awful. My bogies are black. You blow your nose and it just comes out like black dust. Probably should wear a mask, but it gets irritating when your goggles steam up as such. So I'll show you quickly what we've done. We've just come round here. Obviously this is all welded in, tacked, just tacked for now. We've confirmed it's in the right place by putting the floor recess from there to there, and it fits snug. Not so much that side, so I'm just gonna have to tweak this end a little bit. And then the steps in, all solid and strong. I'm gonna offer the valance up, clamp it, see if it all fits into position, and then hopefully we should be at a place where the floor is nearly finished, I hope. So yeah, let me get on with this and then we'll move on to the wheel arches. But more things have happened. While I've been doing this, there's been more restrictions put on Wales, so I was meant to be going back this weekend. I don't think that's going to happen, so I'm going to spend the time in the garage getting this done. So I'm going to have to make a trip to Mini Spares.
Now, if I don't replace these arches first, it's going to hold up finishing the floor. So an 125-mile round trip to Mini Spares York seems justified, especially if it means I can finish the floor before Christmas.
And there we go. A trip to Mini Spares, and we've got the rear wheel arches. The next thing is actually getting them in position. It's not an easy task, it doesn't look easy, it looks quite difficult and tricky. There's a lot of areas of metal that seem to weld to this for added support. So I might throw the odd brace in the car before I release it. But with all that said, let's grind away the wheel arch that's already there, expose the spot welds, and release the existing arch and replace it with this new lovely heritage metal.
When separating the panels, I have found it can be quite a tedious job. Tedious in a way that causes word vomit of abusive expressions, launching of tools, and tantrums of what a 4-year-old may kick up. A way to avoid this is to make a cup of tea, expose the spot welds, play some whale music, and you should be okay. Oh fuck.
There's always that one place where you forget to get rid of the spot welds, and I'll show you here now. So, pretty much all of this wheel arch is ready to come out, moving, but it's still welded in underneath round here. So I'm going to flip the car, and we're going to release them, and the whole arch will just drop out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, seems to be the culprit. Here. Just going to unweld them, and the whole arch will drop out. Now I'm sure you all know, when restoring a car, it's inevitable that when you cut a panel out, you're going to find more rust, which we can obviously see here. Now, most people, or some of you maybe, will probably think, Tom, you're being too finicky, just get the arch in and forget about it. But I'm not that type of person. I think if I'm spending the time doing this, do it right. Plus, I've had the car 2 years, and I just think, you know, time is of the essence, let's do it right. So there is an area where I can probably get away with sanding it back, putting a bit of cure rust on it and weld through primer, and that'll sort it. However, the areas that are directly below the camera here are going to require some significant bits of repair. So I'm going to get on with that now, but by the time we next tune in, the arch will be in position and all that will be sorted. It's just soul destroying sorting all this out.
Replacing original panels with new can also be a pain in the backside. On this occasion, we avoided the copy panels such as Magnum and M Machine, with Heritage being the viable option. Time to see if she fits nice and snug.
So there's some absolutely mad clamping going on at the moment, and you'll see it in a cutaway. But just to fill you in, the fitment on that sort of Heritage rear wheel arch, I'm absolutely gobsmacked at. It fits perfect, near enough like a glove. And considering I've messed around with the floor to say it fits perfect, I'm kind of pleased with that. And I'm not saying it's to blow smoke up my own arse, but kind of am saying it's to blow smoke up my own arse, because yeah, I'm an amateur at this. I never ever say that I'm a pro. I always just watch things on YouTube, have a go myself, and if I cock it up, then I just try again. It's some things with these cars. This is why when people say to me, should I buy one as a daily driver and do it up slowly? My answer is no. Buy one as a project and have a different daily car, because if you cock something up, you've got all the time in the world to rectify it, rather than thinking, shit, I need to get this fixed because I'm going to work on Monday. So like I say, with this car, if I mess anything up, it's a bit disheartening that it does cost money, but you know, it's one of them, you learn from your mistakes and you do it right the next time. So let's grab the spot welder and get this wheel arch in.
The further on I get into this project, the more elevated I begin to feel. What you have to remember is, I took on this challenge with no previous experience in bodywork, other than observing my close friends document their projects on the World Wide Web. And let's be honest, if I can do it, so can you, and you should. If it's a want, a need, a passion, or a dream of yours, you should chase it, enjoy it, and do it in style whilst you're at it. One rule I live by is, it's not hard work if it's your passion, and to me, cars are my passion. In fact, it's more than that. They are my escape from stress. There is nothing better than sinking a few beers, cranking up the stereo, and squeezing the trigger of that welder. I mean, come on, listen to those crackles. How can you not love the sound of that?
Well then, it's a new day, it's a new dollar, and we're back in the makeshift shed. Problems we've got right now is we're going to look at fitting the rear valance and getting the corner pieces on and then the filler pieces. But to do that, we've got to offer the fuel tank into position to make sure that it still fits, because obviously there's been a lot of repairs on this floor all over the place, and I want to make sure everything's still in the right position. We've dropped the fuel tank in. Now the idea with this is, once the fuel tank's in, this is like the closing panel for the rear valance. So this will sit at the back here, but obviously I can't get it in now because the fuel tank needs lifting a little bit. So we're going to get it all up, clamp it all into position using some mole grips, and then hopefully this will sit perfect and we can begin to spot weld it in, and then this is the rear boot floor complete. So I'll move the camera closer and you can have a quick scan of obviously while we clamp everything into position.
Now what you're about to see is me messing around with some clamps and self-tapping screws. Quite a fiddly job to say the least. So let's fast forward this part and present you with the satisfaction of everything fitting into place.
She's calling me like the rainbow. She's calling me like the rainbow. The rainbow.
Moment of truth then. All clamps into position, self-tapper down. Let's see if the fuel tank fits. Pray and hope to God. I tell you what, I don't know how I do it. I really do not know how I do it. Look at this. So for the people that know, there's a plastic bung that goes in the cross member, and then obviously you screw into it and there's like a little spacer to stop any rub. Obviously fits in that hole, fits in that hole as such, just wants a bit of movement, but it will go in. And then round here, you're probably thinking, why is it sat so proud?
but there's like a poly bush spacer that goes in between, and obviously you screw into the rear valance. But I am impressed. If there's one thing to take from this, it's just have a go. Honestly, I've never done anything like this before, and I say it all the time, and people say, have you been on courses, have you done this, do you know what you're doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just cutting metal and making sure my welds are strong. Doesn't matter if they're untidy, because you can always flatten back down with a grinder, and it just goes to show that time, persistence, and doing something that you enjoy really does pay off. So if I can give any advice to anyone, just have a go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the club, so come on and ride to a little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side, a little bit of Rita's all I need, a little bit of Tina's what I see, a little bit of...
Let's ditch that cringeworthy dancing and also ditch those clamps after we've supplemented the temporary bond with a permanent spot weld instead. What you don't realise is how heavy this piece of kit is, so I'm thinking I need to hit the gym more often.
You'll be so fine. Do you believe there's a young world in my heart? Telling me to dance, taking a chance. If you believe there's a young world come about, young world shaking the ground, straight from a party, club until the morning break, moving your body.
So there you have it, the rear arches are on, the rear valance is on. All we've got to do next is put the side panels on, the rear corner repair pieces, and then we've got to put some pieces in the companion bin to sort that out, make a few brackets, and then the floor is complete, and we're ready to basically seam seal all the welds, and then we can under seal the car and spray it that absolutely beautiful Vtec brown, or russet brown is the actual colour. What a challenge this floor has been. I think it's took me 12 months overall, just because obviously bits and bats here and there. I've not actually focused a lot of time on it, but I feel like we're actually getting somewhere with this monster now. And once it's in paint, I can't wait to buy a donor car and start bolting the pretty bits back on to this shell. The only thing I am worried about is the front end, because the front end as such, the panels that I need are going to cost about £800. So I'll have to definitely get some YouTube income coming in to pay for these panels. And yeah, we're going to rock it. I can't wait for this sleeper to be finished. It'll just be probably one of the proudest builds I've ever done, because I've done everything on the car myself by the time this is complete. And yeah, wow. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a lot longer than normal, but I want to wish everyone well, and make sure you do everything in style. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Believe there's a young world in my heart, telling me to dance, taking a chance. If you believe there's a young world come about, young world shaking the ground, pretty people dance.
If you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing. It's totally free and it spurs me on to get this car finished. Until next time guys, stay safe and make sure you do everything in style.